Another update. Cops who ambushed a black man use stand your ground as a defense. It is insane. Here's the video.
This video, caught on a neighbor's doorbell camera, captures the moment the Perkins family says police fatally shot 39-year-old Steve Perkins.
Police, get on back!
The warning appearing to come immediately before police open fire, killing the husband and father. The deadly confrontation around 2 a.m. September 29th stemmed from a tow truck driver trying to repossess Perkins' truck. Police say the driver arrived earlier, but left when Perkins flashed a gun, then came back hours later, accompanied by Decatur police.
They started firing before they even got the full first command out of their mouth.
The department states Perkins brandished the weapon towards an officer, causing the officer to fire. His family's attorney says Perkins had no idea it was police in his front yard.
It doesn't matter whether he had a weapon or not. He never was given an opportunity to comply. And if he had a weapon, he was well within his rights to carry a firearm.
He was within his constitutional rights to bear arms. Put it up full mass. In an update, attorneys for Mac Marquette, an Alabama police officer charged with murder in the death of an armed Stephen Perkins outside of his own home, argued Tuesday that their client should be immune from prosecution. Now, this is a new one for a cop to use, due to the state's stand your ground law in the black man's yard, which would allow an individual to use deadly force as long as they can credibly claim their safety was in danger if immunity is denied. The trial begins on April 7th, all right? So 3 other officers, hell of a story, 3 other officers, Joey Williams, Vince Summers, and Christopher Macadam, were working with Marquette on that early morning call in September 2023. Quote, there were 4 officers at the scene when this incident occurred, and there was only one officer who fired any shot. Morgan County DA Scott Anderson said in regard to the murder charge. Decatur Mayor Tab Bowling terminated 3 of the officers and placed another one on suspension in 2023. So let's understand the irony of this whole ordeal. If immunity is not applied for this cop, the attorneys are arguing that it still should be justified under the state's stand your ground law. Initially, when we heard about these stand your ground doctrines in various states, Florida being chief of them, we were told basically you can enforce this pressure on your property, maybe a general property where no one can claim property rights, no domicile right, of course. But all of a sudden, this cop is claiming he can go on your property. You can be in the right. You can engage in your constitutionally protected right to bear arms. He can kill you and then be immune from that level of insanity because somehow stand your ground applies to him even on your property. There's more. Marquette, the officer, and the other cops were dispatched to help Caleb Combs after he called the police to report Perkins for allegedly pointing a gun at his chest when Combs tried to repossess his truck. Combs, who was authorized by Perkins' creditor, now get this, to repossess the truck, told police he wanted to retry the seizure, but said he would not go back alone. Sounds like to me, the officer has been privately recruited by a repo agent. Okay? Private civil matter, not a matter for law enforcement. There's more. Alabama law, however, requires a judge's authorization if there was a breach of peace during an attempted repo. Okay? Without it, law enforcement's presence is prohibited. Though all agreed there was a breach of peace, no court authorization was obtained. To receive immunity, Marquette's attorneys must prove he had the right to be on Perkins' property in the first place. So attorneys focused on a beam visible in the body camera video cast by a tactical light attached to Perkins' handgun to show where this weapon was pointed when he emerged from his house for the second time. When Combs tried again to repossess Perkins' pickup truck, the beam appeared to indicate that Perkins pointed his gun towards Combs. Marquette, the officer, is then seen on both body cameras rounding a corner to confront Perkins. In a matter of seconds, Perkins appears to point the gun at Marquette, who shouts, quote, "Police, get on the ground." And almost instantly, at the very same time of that shout, fires at least 17 bullets, basically emptying the clip, killing the father of two. Initially, officers said that when they arrived, Perkins was threatening the tow truck driver with his firearm. They alleged he then waved it, quote, towards an officer with the Decatur Police Department, according to the Alabama Law Enforcement Agency. There's reason to believe this was simply retaliation for that move. There's more. The DPD officers said they ordered him to drop his weapon. He refused. They alleged that once Perkins directed the gun at Marquette, the officer responded with fatal shots. But that account did not match up to the surveillance footage from a neighbor's Ring doorbell camera from that night that indicated the officers never identified themselves. Instead, they were hiding beside Perkins' house and across the street upon their arrival. Now, I want to remind you, their presence there is unlawful. They have no legal right to be there. They have no legal justification. As a matter of fact, their presence is strictly prohibited by the law. There's more. The body cam evidence seems to show that just before Officer Marquette opened fire, the light from Perkins' gun appeared to be pointing upwards against his house away from the officer. Prosecutors say that suggests Perkins tried to raise his arms in surrender before he was killed. Lee Merritt, good friend and attorney at law representing the Perkins family, has filed a federal civil rights lawsuit against the officers who Merritt said ambushed the victim, a manager at J.M. Smucker's pet food manufacturer. Perkins said Merritt had ventured onto his front lawn that morning to investigate why his dog was barking. The officers had surrounded his property and they, quote, revealed themselves and simultaneously opened fire. Perkins never fired any bullets, though his gun was found with the depressed trigger, according to the state law enforcement agent who investigated the shooting. The agent, Jamie King, said it is not clear when the trigger was pulled and that the chamber was empty. Marquette told investigators immediately after the shooting that it was, quote, the most scared he had ever been